Have you ever felt worthless just because of failures or because of someone else's criticism? The story of the $100 bill is a powerful reminder that our true value never changes, no matter how harsh the circumstances. A speaker walked into the hall, held up a $100 bill, and asked, "Who wants this bill?" Many hands were raised. He then crumpled it, threw it on the floor, and stepped on it, before asking again, "Who still wants it now?" Many hands were still raised. The message is clear: even when wrinkled or dirty, the bill's value remains the same. Just like us, no matter the criticism, failures, or dark times, the value within us never disappears. This story reminds me of Miley Cyrus. Once hailed as a Disney princess before falling into countless scandals, behind it all, Miley still chose to live true to herself and continued contributing to the community through charity work. She didn't try to please everyone, she chose to live by her own values. So should we. Don't let prejudice or negative views pull you down. True value doesn't come from what others say, nor from external appearances, but from our essence, from how we live and love. Remember, you are unique, and no one can take that value away. Lesson: treasure yourself, live authentically. Never let negative thoughts diminish your inherent worth. In a certain town, 3 young men set out together in search of opportunities to get rich. They discovered a variety of large, sweet red apples that was extremely famous. Each of them chose a different way to do business. The first man used all his capital to buy as many delicious apples as possible, transporting them back to his hometown to sell at a high price. At first, he became wealthy quickly, but over time, rising transportation costs and fierce competition caused his profits to decline. The second man chose to buy 100 saplings and plant them on rented hillside land. Although his apples were not as sweet as the original ones, without transportation expenses, he still earned a steady income. The third man was more patient. He spent many days observing how the locals tended their orchards, brought soil back for research, and spent 3 years improving a barren hillside. Only then did he plant the red apple variety. Years later, his orchard produced the sweetest, most delicious fruits, attracting countless buyers, with prices always high. 3 results, 3 different approaches. The first became rich quickly but unsustainably. The second had stability but was limited in quality. The third achieved lasting success thanks to vision and investment in the roots. This story teaches us that in life, the same opportunity can lead to different outcomes depending on how it is approached. Those who focus only on the short term may gain quickly but soon falter. Those with long-term vision, willing to patiently plant and nurture, will harvest enduring results. Lesson: success does not rely only on opportunity, but on vision and preparation. Investing in the roots is the path that goes the farthest. In life, there are people who seem to exist, but in truth, their souls died long ago. They stopped dreaming, stopped striving, stopped acting, and merely dragged on the remaining years like shadows. The story of a young man named Frank is the clearest proof of this. In the 1970s, because of poverty, Frank had to quit school and move to Chicago to make a living. With no capital, no connections, and no foundation, he resorted to shining shoes to survive. Yet instead of giving up, Frank carefully saved every penny. 6 months later, he opened a small ice cream shop right in front of his shoeshine stand. Because he dared to act and experiment, his business grew rapidly. From one shop, Frank expanded to more branches, eventually owning over 4,000 ice cream stores, capturing up to 70% of the U.S. market. At the same time, another young man named Step also realized the potential of the ice cream business. But because he hesitated and listened to his father's discouragement, Step missed his chance. By the time he wanted to start, it was already too late. This story is not only about money, but about the speed of action. Many people don't fail because they lack ability, but because they hesitate too long. Opportunities are like doors that open only for a moment. If you don't step in, they close forever. It's the same in love. How often do we hesitate to confess, only to regret when the one we love has already gone? Some chances, once lost, never return. What matters is not waiting for perfect conditions, but acting and learning along the way. Only through action can you grow, learn, and truly seize opportunities. Lesson: don't let yourself die in hesitation and fear. Dare to act, dare to try, because opportunities only come to those who are ready and quick to move. Time waits for no one, it's either now or never. A person's value does not disappear because of failure or negative views. Life true to yourself, like Miley Cyrus, who dared to overcome prejudice to contribute to the community. Sustainable success does not come from short-term profit, but from long-term vision and investment in the roots, like the third young man who planted apples. And most importantly, do not hesitate and let opportunities slip away. Life comes only once. Take action, dare to try, dare to live for yourself. Value, vision, action are the true keys to success. In life, we are often faced with choices. Should we be strict to the very end, or open our hearts with compassion? The story of an old man and a young man in a small diner gave me a profound lesson about tolerance and forgiveness. One evening, in a nearly empty fast food restaurant, there were 3 diners: myself, a young man, and an old man. The dim lighting made the place feel even quieter. As I ate my meal by the window, I noticed the young man repeatedly glancing at the phone lying on the old man's table. Suddenly, when the old man turned away to light a cigarette, the young man quickly slipped the phone into his pocket and tried to leave. What surprised me most was not the theft itself, but how the old man reacted. He didn't shout or accuse. Instead, he calmly walked over and said, "Son, please wait. Yesterday was my 70th birthday. My daughter gave me this phone. My eyesight is poor, and my back is weak. I thought it might have fallen somewhere. Could you please help me look for it?" The young man froze, sweat breaking out on his forehead. After a pause, he bent down, pretended to search around, and then found the phone. Handing it back, he said, "Is this yours?" The old man grasped his hand, smiling warmly, "Thank you. You're very kind." Shaken, the young man turned quickly and rushed out of the restaurant. I walked over and asked the old man, "Why didn't you call the police? You knew he had stolen it." The old man replied softly, "If I called the police, I would only get back a phone. But if I showed compassion, I preserved something worth far more: humanity." Those words struck me deeply. Sometimes, harsh accusations can push someone into a corner with no way out. But giving them a chance, a way to retreat with dignity, might just save their conscience, or even change their life. Forgiveness is not weakness. On the contrary, it is one of the greatest strengths a person can possess. From this story, I realized that in any relationship, tolerance always creates opportunities. It may shift someone's thinking, or open the door to a better path for them. And when we give others a way out, we are also giving ourselves peace, kindness, and the quiet joy of knowing we chose compassion over condemnation. In life, the greatest lessons don't always come from books. Sometimes, they are hidden in the quiet actions of our loved ones. The story of my father and me in our small grocery shop taught me what it truly means to do good, and do it to the very end. During the summer of 7th grade, I often helped my father run the family shop. One morning, I arrived early and noticed an elderly woman, poorly dressed, her hands trembling as she carried a small bag of rice out of the store. My father told me she had bought only 300 grams of rice, paid 5,000 VND, yet each time he gave her 10,000 VND in change. I was puzzled, calculating in my head, wondering why my father kept making a mistake. Seeing my confusion, my father sighed gently and explained, "She used to be our neighbor. She has no husband or children, lives only on a tiny allowance, and sometimes collects scraps to survive. Lately, her memory is failing, and she often acts absent-minded. If we don't help her, how else can she get by?" His words struck me deeply. It wasn't a mistake, it was kindness. From then on, I followed my father's example. Whenever the old woman came, I would happily pack the rice, take her 5,000 VND, and hand her back 10,000 VND, as if it were the most natural thing to do. My father would just smile and tap me on the head, saying, "If you choose to be kind, you must see it through to the end." As time passed, the old woman visited less and less. One day, my father received a letter from the hospital where she was being treated. In it, she expressed her gratitude, saying our care had given her the strength to live her final days with dignity. Along with the letter, she left us her old house, the only possession she had, as a token of thanks. My father cried, and I finally understood. Kindness is not a single act, but a commitment over time. We may not expect anything in return, but genuine goodness always leaves a lasting mark, both in the hearts of others and in our own. If you do good, do it wholeheartedly. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness from us can mean the entire world to someone else. In life, success is not only measured by wealth or status, but also by how true we are to ourselves and how we treat others. A forgiving glance, a kind gesture, or a commitment to core values can create a lasting impact. Just as a seed needs time to sprout, values and compassion require consistent nurturing. When we sow the seeds of kindness, what we receive in return is not only the trust of others but also peace within our own hearts. True success lies not in short-term gains, but in the lasting legacy of love and humanity.